Around 2,300 years ago, ancient Greek travelers started making the world's first bucket list, and they called it the Seven Wonders of the World, and it was basically ancient TripAdvisor. 7 structures so ridiculously impressive that seeing them was supposed to be worth risking your life. And risking your life was pretty much guaranteed because travel back then was absolutely terrible. Here's the wild part, though. Out of all 7 wonders, only one is still standing today. The other 6 were destroyed by earthquakes, fires, invasions, and in one case, a guy seeking attention. So today, we're going through every single ancient wonder, what it was, and how it died. By the end, you'll know more about these than the ancient Greeks who wrote the list. Grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's start with the only one you can still visit. Number 1, the Great Pyramid of Giza, built in Egypt around 2560 BC. This thing is old, like unbelievably old. Older than the other 6 wonders by 2,000 years. It was already ancient history when the ancient Greeks showed up to write about it. It was built as a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu, who clearly did not believe in subtlety. The pyramid contains over 2 million stone blocks, each weighing between 2 and 30 tons. And workers moved every single one with ropes, sledges, and ramps. No wheels, no cranes. When finished, it stood about 147 meters tall, covered in polished white limestone. It would have gleamed in the sun like a giant mirror in the middle of the desert. It stayed the tallest building on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. Nothing else comes close. Inside, hidden passages and sealed chambers were designed to stop grave robbers from stealing the treasure. Spoiler alert. The grave robbers stole the treasure anyway, probably within a few centuries of completion. Today, the shiny casing is gone, mostly recycled into buildings in Cairo during the Middle Ages, but the pyramid itself is still there. The oldest wonder and the only survivor. Respect. Number 2, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and this one comes with a giant asterisk. The story goes that King Nebuchadnezzar II built them around 600 BC in Babylon. His wife Amytis came from the Green Mountains of Media, and she hated the flat, dusty city. So the king allegedly built her a mountain of gardens, rising over 20 meters into the sky. Terraces stacked like theater steps, dripping with trees, vines, and flowers in the middle of the desert. Water was supposedly lifted from the Euphrates River by some kind of ingenious pumping system. Sounds amazing, right? Well, here's the problem. The gardens might not have existed at all. No Babylonian text ever mentions them, not one clay tablet. And Babylonians wrote everything down. No traveler who actually visited Babylon ever described seeing them in person. Suspicious. One historian, Stephanie Daly, thinks the gardens were real, but in the wrong city. She argues they were actually built in Nineveh by the Assyrian king Sennacherib using water screws. So the Hanging Gardens are either misplaced, exaggerated, or the most successful rumor in human history. Either way, they made the list, and honestly, that's a pretty good deal for a maybe. Number 3, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, home of the original Olympic Games in Greece. Around 435 BC, the sculptor Phidias created an absolute unit of a statue. Zeus sat on a massive throne, about 12 meters tall, nearly touching the temple ceiling. His skin was carved from ivory, and his robes were made of actual hammered gold. One ancient writer joked that if Zeus ever stood up, he'd rip the roof right off. Legend says when Phidias finished, he asked Zeus for a sign of approval. Lightning immediately struck the temple floor. Zeus, apparently, was a fan of his own statue. For over 800 years, visitors came from across the world just to stare at it. Then Rome went Christian, the old temples were closed, and Zeus lost his job. The statue was hauled off to Constantinople, where a great fire destroyed it in the 5th century. Nothing survives today. Not a finger, not a toe, not a single golden robe wrinkle. All we have are descriptions, some coins, and the workshop of Phidias, found with his cup. Seriously, archaeologists found a cup inscribed, "I belong to Phidias." Best souvenir ever. Number 4, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, in what is now Western Turkey. This was a marble monster, 127 columns, each 18 meters tall. It was so beautiful that one ancient writer said the sun never shone on anything grander. It honored Artemis, goddess of the hunt, and it made Ephesus rich with pilgrims and traders. And then, in 356 BC, a man named Herostratus burned it to the ground. Why? No political reason, no revenge. He just wanted to be famous, that's it. He torched one of the wonders of the world purely so people would remember his name. The Ephesians executed him and made it illegal to ever speak his name again. It didn't work, obviously, because I just said his name, and now you know it too. Supposedly, the temple burned the exact night Alexander the Great was born. People joked Artemis was too busy attending Alexander's birth to save her own house. The temple was rebuilt even bigger, then destroyed again by the Goths around 262 AD. Today, a single lonely column stands in a swampy field, usually with a stork nesting on top. Number 5, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the fanciest tomb ever built for the pettiest reason: flexing. Mausolus was a regional governor in the Persian Empire who ruled like a king anyway. When he died in 353 BC, his wife Artemisia went full dramatic mode. Legend claims she mixed his ashes into her drink, becoming a living, breathing memorial. Then she hired the best Greek architects and sculptors alive to build his tomb. The result was a 45-meter tower of white marble in 3 stacked layers. A giant base, 36 elegant columns, and a pyramid roof topped with a marble chariot. It mixed Greek, Egyptian, and Lycian styles like the architects couldn't agree, so they used everything. It was so iconic that Mausolus got the ultimate honor. His name became a word. Every grand tomb on Earth is now called a mausoleum, after this exact building. It survived longer than most wonders, standing for around 16 centuries. Then medieval earthquakes shook it apart, and Crusader knights recycled the stones into a castle. You can still see polished green blocks from the tomb sitting in the castle walls today. Number 6, the Colossus of Rhodes, the ancient world's biggest victory celebration. In 305 BC, the island of Rhodes survived a massive year-long siege. The enemy gave up and left behind mountains of expensive siege equipment, free money. So the Rhodians sold the scrap and used the cash to build a thank you gift, a colossal bronze statue of their sun god Helios, standing 33 meters tall. That's roughly the same height as the Statue of Liberty, from heel to head. In fact, the Colossus directly inspired the Statue of Liberty 2,000 years later. It took the sculptor Charis of Lindos 12 whole years to finish it. You've probably seen pictures of it straddling the harbor with ships sailing between its legs. Sadly, that's a myth. Bronze legs spread that wide would have instantly collapsed. It really stood on a normal pedestal. Legs together, probably holding a torch toward the sky. Then after only about 56 years, an earthquake snapped it at the knees. The broken giant lay on the ground for over 8 centuries, and tourists still came. Eventually, the bronze was sold for scrap, reportedly hauled away on 900 camels. And number 7, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, the only wonder with an actual job, built around 280 BC on the island of Pharos, off the coast of Egypt. Alexandria was the busiest port on the Mediterranean, but its coastline was flat and deadly. Ships kept wrecking, so the Ptolemies built the tallest lighthouse the world had ever seen. 3 stories stacked up, a square base, an octagonal middle, and a round tower on top. Best estimates put it over 100 meters tall, crowned with a giant statue. At night, a huge fire burned at the top, reflected out to sea by polished bronze mirrors. Sailors claimed they could see the light from roughly 50 kilometers away. It was so famous that Pharos literally became the word for lighthouse in many languages. It guided ships for over 1,500 years. Incredible service record. Then a series of earthquakes between the 10th and 14th centuries and thus slowly wrecked it. In the 1400s, Egypt's sultan built a fort from its fallen stones. It's still there. And in 1994, divers found its giant blocks scattered on the harbor floor. So the final scoreboard: 7 wonders, 1 survivor, 5 confirmed kills, 1 possible rumor. Earthquakes took out the Colossus, the Mausoleum, and the lighthouse. Fires got Zeus and Artemis. And the Hanging Gardens might have only ever existed in someone's imagination. But here's the thing. We're still talking about them more than 2,000 years later. A guy burned a temple for attention, and instead, the temple became immortal. A statue stood for 56 years and inspired the Statue of Liberty forever. The ancient wonders prove that humans have always wanted to build impossible things. And judging by what we've built since, we never really stopped. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more history, explained one stick figure at a time, and tell me in the comments which wonder would you bring back. See you next time.